Welcome to the the-fwot-show on the Coil Entertainment Network, fixing the planet by exposing idiocy. That's what we're here for. I'm Rob Steele, that's Jesus Jones in the background, and I'm going to tie this show in with another show on the Coil Entertainment Network. That would be Cinema Savants, the show we do on Sundays, talking about movies and upcoming movies, and one of the upcoming movies that I'm really looking forward to comes from the animated branch of the DC Comics universe. Bear with me, I'm tying this into the fwot stuff. One of the movies they're coming up with is the adaptation of the Batman series, Hush. Now, in this series, which I reread just to make sure I had it right in my head before I saw it, it's coming out next year. I've got time. Read it anyway. In this story, Lex Luthor, yeah, I know, the bad guy from Superman, and this is a Batman book. Bear with me, I'm almost there. Lex Luthor is president at the time. And because he is president of the United States of America, he is forced to divest himself from LexCorp to prevent any conflict of interest. Now, did this happen when Trump took office? Did he have to give up his stuff? He's supposed to. Jimmy Carter gave up his peanut farm. Lex Luthor, one of the most evil people in the history of anything, even if he's not real, had to give it up. Why didn't Don Boy? I'm asking for a friend, and that friend being most of the people who live in this country. Why hasn't I'm told from the Roald Dahl family, not personally, they just put out a statement that they would prefer not to have the Oompa Loompas associated with Donnie Trump. So I think I found a better example for this in the term of sponsorship, which is something Trump should be able to understand. So let's try this. This presidency has been brought to you by Kellogg's, makers of Eggo waffles. The only thing that waffles more than we do is the Donald. Or, and I was thinking this might work too, and it would have to be separate because they're competing companies. This presidency is brought to you by General Mills, Big G cereals featuring Kix. Yes, Kix, the cereal in the Donald-colored box that has no flavor and is really just a crunchy shell full of air, much like Donald himself. I'm wondering which one works better. Let me know. Meanwhile, Don Boy took to Twitter, and wow, he sent a tweet to the Iranian president threatening him with war over Twitter because Don is stuck in junior high. And he didn't do it right. And by that, I don't mean, yes, you threaten someone in person if you're going to threaten war. No, that's not what I mean. With as much as he tweets, shouldn't he know that if you put the ampersand next to a screen name, it sends a message directly to that person? Seriously, that's how it works. They can pick it up. He didn't do that. He just used the Iranian president's name in all caps. It doesn't work that way. You use Twitter more than I breathe, I think, at this point. Don't you know how it works? How can you... I don't get it. I really don't. And if your excuse is, well, we don't know if he has a Twitter account, well, then why even tweet him if he doesn't have a Twitter account? He's not gonna get it if he doesn't have one. This guy is... wow. Stupidity on a level previously heretofore unreached. I don't understand this at all. Whatsoever. None of it. Jeff Sessions popped up again this week. As much as I would really rather he didn't. He announced he's going to have a religious liberty task force. Yeah, because that's what we need. Oh, by the way, religious liberties? By that he means only if you are a rich, white, Christian male. F*** everybody else. You have to be rich, white, Christian, and male. And that... no. Football players who kneel? No, that's still an irreconcilable evil that we must purge from the planet. You have to be a Christian male who is rich and white, much like, let's say Carl Gallup. The Jeff Foxworthy knockoff is a right-wing, as if that needed to be said, Christian pasture. Pasture? Yes, he's a large field where cows graze. I meant pastor, you know that. Anyway, he's a frequent speaker at Trump rallies and came up with a theory this week about rape. Here's the quote. If a woman wears sexually suggestive clothing around a man, is that not also sexual assault? No, it's not, Carl. And how could you even possibly think that women wearing suggestive clothing is a sexual assault against men? No, it's not. And, let's flip that on you. Carl, some people find a tuxedo or a really nice suit sexy. You're wearing a nice, expensive suit, Carl. Are you sexually assaulting all the women in your congregation? No. Oh, that's right. Just the altar boys. I forgot you were a pastor. Almost as big a twit as the person you're supporting. Oh, while we're on the subject of Christians and Republicans and things that make very little sense, there's a blogger by the name of Lori Alexander who calls herself a Christian blogger. And her quote of the week was, she says that if you're looking for a husband, ladies, men prefer debt-free virgins without tattoos. We do? Real? Debt-free maybe. Who doesn't like debt-free? But if I'm looking for a wife, that's not exactly a priority on my list. That's something that can be worked around. Debt-free virgins without tattoos. Wow. Debt is something we have to worry about. Everybody does, because we live in the United States, which is in a constant state of debt because Don doesn't know how to run a business except into the ground. But this goes for all walks of life, especially if you're in the Brunswick County Sheriff's Office. You ever heard of Brunswick? It's in North Carolina, where the entire police force has been suspended because the sheriff was arrested. Now, what was he arrested and charged with? It wasn't anything like dealing drugs or murdering someone. It's that he had what they're calling a habitual repeated pattern of leaving the police post. What was he doing? He was having an affair. Well, kind of, in that he also was working for a trucking company because he doesn't make enough money as a police officer and you got to make ends meet somehow. So, let's see. Maybe if we paid police officers, and by extension, anyone else who doesn't make the amount of money you need to live on, if we paid them enough to live on, then they wouldn't have to leave their jobs to get more money to live on. Has this occurred to anyone? I'm guessing not, because this shit keeps coming up. American know-how, that's something we claim to be known for, except sometimes I don't think we think products through before we put them on the market. For example, Chevy, the American car maker, is now offering a new 2019 Chevy Corvette. The thing with this particular model of Corvette is that it has 1,000 horsepower. That's Bugatti Veyron area. Now, the thing with the Bugatti Veyron, if you don't know that car, it's, first off, a lot better looking than the Corvette, and it tops out at 253 miles an hour. Now, you need to have a long stretch of road in order to get there, but still, just to give you an idea, that's a very fast car. Now, this Chevy Corvette, which starts at about $70,000 with its 1,000 horsepower, is a convertible. Did anyone think this through? Because I'm thinking if you're going along at 200 miles an hour, which is illegal, by the way, in a convertible, even with, the windows up and one of those wind deflector things in the back, isn't that going to just rip all of your hair out? Perhaps you should think things through, Chevy. I mentioned this on Cinema Savants, where I found a bad movie headline. This week, it's a bad headline grouping for the-fwot-show. Yes, two headlines on CNN right next to each other. that did not need to be put next to each other. The second one, and I'm not entirely sure why this is even a story, but, whatever. The headline reads, "I'm almost 9 years sober, and Demi Lovato inspires me." Which sounds like it could be a nice story, except for the headline right before it is, "Singer Demi Lovato has been hospitalized after suffering an apparent drug overdose." Burger King tried doing something recently that, in theory, is a good idea. They're trying to raise awareness about pink tax. Now, if you don't know what pink tax is, that's when you take what is considered a male product. Most often when describing this, we go with razors. You take a blue razor and you make it pink for women. Don't change anything else, just the color. Make it go from blue to pink. And all of a sudden, you can charge, 50 to 75% more because it's pink, which is bullshit. So Burger King tried to raise customer awareness of this. They put cameras in certain Burger King stores and charged a pink tax with what they called chick fries, where the French fries that a customer would order come in a pink box. The pink box raises the price about $1.40 more per order of fries. Well, raising awareness of this is a good idea, but don't do this without at least alerting your cashiers that you're about to have an awful lot of pissed off women assaulting your cashiers. That's going to happen. Have you looked at our country? That's the way things work here, unfortunately. Now, they claimed this was a stunt. They put all the videos on their YouTube page just to raise awareness of the pink tax. How did it go? You can look it up. It's not pretty. But if you think we should get rid of the pink tax, or if you have any other comments or questions, or even story ideas for the show, head to my website, the-fwot-show.com, where there's buttons for Facebook and Twitter and email and all that good stuff. Send me questions, send me answers, send me story ideas. That's what the site's there for. You know what? While you're there, click the buttons for iTunes or the Google Play Store or even my own YouTube channel. Subscribe to the show because you never know when it's going to show up. I know. I keep saying I'm going to take time off, but then all this crap happens this week and I can't stay quiet about it. Stupid presidents. Anyway, while you're there, also hit up the the-fwot shop, where you can pick up a hat or a t-shirt or a coffee mug that all goes to support everything on the Coil Entertainment Network, including the new show that's going to be coming up probably later this week. Keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, I'm going to leave you with something we should have heard a lot more about. CNET, who is a very big name in tech news, had a story recently about a discovery on Mars. They discovered in the South Pole, not CNET, but a European Mars Express orbiter, identified a saltwater lake underneath the South Pole of Mars, meaning life might exist there in microbial form. My problem is, as reputable as CNET is, why the hell haven't we heard anything about this from other sources? Just something to think about, because I actually still trust CNET. They are a trusted name. Unlike, let's say, that guy who I claim to be sponsored by Kellogg's and General Mills at the same time. He's not. That was a joke. Anyway, have a good week. I may or may not be back next week. Subscribe to the show and find out.